I'll go back to the verse that we talked about at the beginning. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, right? That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And the result is we get better through that.
Welcome to the Getting Better podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. Thank you for just being a part and choosing to get better. Today, me and Gage are hanging out. We're going to talk about some different stuff. But before we get started, hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Leave comments, share the podcast, and help people. Why? Because, of course, we want to get better, but we want everybody to get better. We want everybody to grow, because when you get better, I believe everybody and everything else around you gets better. And we just want that for you. We want that for ourselves. That's why we're doing this. We're trying to grow. We are not know-it-alls, are we, Gage?
That would be a no.
No, we do not know it all. We don't know a lot, actually, but we're doing this because it spurs conversation between us and others to grow in areas that we may have not before. And what we're actually talking about today is something I think is pretty interesting. Gage spoke at church a few weeks ago, and he talked about community and the importance of having people in your life and how that plays out. Of course, in our church are small groups, but it plays out in different areas in different people's lives. But he mentioned some stuff that I thought was pretty informative and really helpful. So we're going to talk about that some today. You all right with that?
That sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Yeah. So what's it called again?
So this tool is called the Johari Window.
Yeah.
And really what it is, it's kind of more for self, realization. You kind of, it's kind of something you can use to view yourself, your relationship with yourself, but also your relationships with others. And so really what it does, it breaks down just like a window pane, right? It's got four quadrants, okay, 4 spaces. And each space represents a different area. So I'll just lay out the areas real quick. The first one is an open area.
Let's do it one at a time.
Okay, we'll just do the first. The first is the open area.
Open area.
Arena is what I've heard it called.
Okay.
And so basically in this area, it's kind of like, who you are in public, or maybe what people know about you. Mm-hmm. So you know it to be true about yourself, but other people know it too. So I like basketball.
Yeah.
You know that. I know that. When I'm out in public, people know that about me.
Most people know that about you.
Yeah. It's who you are in public. And so just being able to view these things, and you can kind of lay out, attitudes or principles, mm-hmm. and just kind of see if that's who people think you are in public. Yeah. That's kind of what that first area is. I think the issue maybe for a lot of people in this area, Gunner, is that, a lot of us are, our arena self, or our public self is not always our real self. Sometimes we put up maybe a facade or a little extra, and that's
a projection, maybe.
I think so, or something that you maybe wish, more so about yourself. And so it's important to kind of view those things and point those things out, and that's kind of what this tool does.
I think we all want to be, like, whether that's, we can get, you can dive into the weeds and some of this stuff, but like, whether that's the way people dress or what they do, or like everyone is, I think people have they kind of project sometimes of who they want to be and who they want to, and not that it's always bad to try to grow or be something great, but sometimes it's, when you're not being honest with yourself and others, it can be a difficult thing to live with if you feel like you're living a lie. But when you live honestly, you live freely. It doesn't mean everybody has to know all your baggage. Don't mean that. But when you live freely, I think it's if you live freely behind closed doors and also in public.
Absolutely, and really, why I think it's important, and really why I think this tool is important, is because who you are in public. That's who people see, right? But who you are, when you're not in public, there's not many people that see that, right? It's just kind of so it's important, because when you have people in your life that can kind of tell you that you can be real or be yourself, actually, around them, that's such an important thing. It's important to have those people in your life. And even though this tool is about self-realization, I think even more so, it's important so we can build community with others. And the verse that comes to mind when I think about that is this. It's in Proverbs. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're putting on this front in public, it's exhausting. And I know that because I've done that.
Right, we all have.
I've put on that front in public. And so it's important to have people in your lives. I don't know. Maybe they just need to. Maybe you need somebody to with a little advice from, or maybe just to call me out on.
Yeah.
It's important to have that.
Absolutely. What's the second one? We got the arena.
That's the first one. Arena. That's who you are in public. You know it. I know it. The public knows it. Second one is called blind spots. Okay, and so the way I hear people talk about blind spots is like this. It's like, you got something. If I got something out, if I'm in public and I got something in my teeth,
Yeah.
right? I don't know it's there, but everybody else does, right? So those blind spots, those areas are areas that I don't know about me, but everybody else knows about me. You know what I mean? And I can think of people right now that I know things about. They don't know it about themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's important. The reason that's important is because in community, in real community, those blind spots, your friends can point it out to you. I want somebody to tell me if there's something in my teeth.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously. And so it's the same way in my daily life. If there's something going on that I shouldn't be doing, and I just might not even see it.
Yeah.
But maybe you do.
Mm-hmm.
And we all need friends like that.
Absolutely, man. I want someone to tell me if, I got something in my teeth, if I got a booger in my nose, or if
the hanger.
Yeah, I don't want to need anything like that, but I want someone to tell me if I'm coming across arrogant. I want someone to tell me if I'm acting like a know-it-all, because I don't want to be those things, right? And people closest to you should know your motives and all that stuff. But even though you know my motives, like, hopefully you love me enough to be like, hey, like, I know you meant this, and I know your heart behind it, but this is what it could look like. And
Absolutely.
I love you too much for you to not know your blind spot, to not know that it came across that way, that, hey, you kind of sounded arrogant there. You kind of sounded, I don't know, selfish there. You were selfish in that moment, and I love you too much to live a selfish life. Like, that's accountability. That's hey, you got blind spots, and I want you to be aware of them. Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this before, but like, people who are know-it-alls. It's like, I don't know if you can see that right now, or people that they only really like to talk about themselves. It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
I hate that.
And
and of course, you got to have equity in a relationship to confront that. You just can't go to anybody you don't know or someone you just met and be like, hey, you're acting kind of selfish. Like, that probably wouldn't go well. But like,
no, you don't. Yeah, it don't need to be somebody you don't know for
sure.
sure.
It needs to be, if you're close enough, and honestly, that's probably the problem, is a lot of people aren't close enough to anybody for them to actually have people speak in their life.
And that, what you just said, that is, this Johari Window helps us with different things, but that is the key. Having people in our lives, that community, having those people in our lives, that I want a friend to tell me this.
Yes.
I want a friend to tell me this. And that's not easy.
No.
And it's not easy to be the friend that does that. The Bible says this in Proverbs, that wounds from a friend can be trusted. All right. But then it says an enemy multiplies kisses. And so a lot of us, and myself included, I tend to hear what I want to hear. Okay. Even if it's an enemy saying it. Right. I don't want those wounds, but a friend's words, no matter how harsh sometimes, or no matter, it might hurt a little bit. If they can be trusted, it's way, 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 way more important.
Absolutely. When you got good friends, it doesn't matter how it doesn't matter how you say it, but as far as like subject, like, I'd rather have my friend tell me my blind spot. I'd rather have him tell me where I'm falling short, because, I would like to, I want that accountability. I want to grow. I want to get better. I don't want to stay the same in that area.
That's what it's about, the accountability.
Yeah.
And I challenge myself, even right now, I want to challenge myself to pursue that, because again, it's not easy. Nobody wants to hear those types of things, and I get it. I don't either. But I want to get better. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's one way we can do it.
All right. In that case, let me tell you that. Just kidding. I was going to tell you.
Oh,
I was going to let you I'm not going to do that. No, you're perfect, man. You're doing great. Yeah. What's the next one?
Okay. So that's, first one's a public you. The second one is, things you don't know about yourself, but everybody else does. And the third one.
So arena, blind spots.
And the third one I call the mask. Okay. I've heard it called the mask. And the mask is, so basically, Gunner, even though you're a good friend of mine, there's things about me that you probably don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to know. Mm-hmm. All right. But here's the deal. It's healthy, very healthy, to have that one or two people that you can take the mask off in front of.
Absolutely.
And I don't, it's spouses probably can, you can do that for, but also a small group of people, friends, a community that's where that comes into play. But the mask, it's just it's a hidden part. And we all have that. I think everybody can attest to having a mask, something that you don't necessarily want everybody to know about. We all have that.
Yeah.
But it's healthy and I think freeing to be able to take it off in front of somebody.
Absolutely, man. Me and you just had a conversation on our way back from the Tennessee game about, me talking about just ruminating on stuff and just calling a friend and talking to him about it, and like how freeing it was to, not that I was necessarily hiding anything, but I was like, man, I'm dealing with this, and this, like whether that's my insecurities or whatever. Not everybody needs to know all of those, but somebody does.
Yeah.
And the fact that I told you about, as soon as I called him and talked about it, like I felt free, like in that moment, and I felt better ever since then. That's been a week ago or so or something like that. But like I feel so good because of that. And like I know he cares. We've been friends for 10 plus years. And so I know I can call him and have those conversations, and he'll pray for me and I'll pray for him, all that stuff. But it is so freeing not to have to wear a mask in front of people. It's freeing to have people that that love you no matter where you're at, that care about you no matter where you're at, even though they've seen you be imperfect. They know your flaws and know where you mess up and know how they can pray for you. It's freeing to live that way, that you don't have to feel like you gotta hide something or always be. And this can happen sometimes in leadership too. Not this is a leadership podcast, but like you feel like you always got to be on at times sometimes. And it's like, whether that's in your job, it's like, I don't have time to deal with this or deal with that, even though I got life stuff going on. But like knowing that I have people I can call that I'm like, hey man, I'm dealing with this. Like I'm weak now, but like, because I have you in my life, I'm going to be better and be stronger because I know you're with me and praying for me and support me and all that stuff. Like that's freeing to know you're not alone doing stuff. And
again, that's a part of the Johari window, but you can only find that, I think, really through community.
Right.
Okay. If you really want to be able to take that mask off and be free, I think you do it in community with friends.
Absolutely.
And again, that's kind of what more so this is about. It's about having those people in our lives that pour into us. And also we got to be that person too.
Yeah.
The Bible says this somewhere in, I don't know, James maybe, it says confess to each other, and actually says confess your sins to each other so that you can be healed.
Yeah.
All right. And so if you have a mask, you're hiding something, which again, understandable. I'm not saying we should put it on a t-shirt, right? I'm not saying we should post it on Facebook.
And Pete, not everybody has to know either.
No.
Because not everybody has your best interest in mind, unfortunately. A lot of people do, but not everybody does.
Not everybody does.
And, but there are people the people that love you and care about you. And at 2 to 3, I tell this to my high school guys, small group, like there's 20 something in the room, right? It's like not everybody needs to know your stuff, but you need 1 or 2 people that you have praying for you, or 2 and 3, however you want to put it. People that that really care about you, that are thinking about you when they're getting up in the morning, they're praying about you and things like that. You got to have those people.
And this mask that you take off for people, it don't need to be for the people that aren't those people. It don't need to be for people that's not for you. It needs to be people that's for you.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's harder to see, because everybody's going to be nice for the most part.
Yeah.
But for this taking the mask off, I'm talking about people that are really for you, that do life with you.
Yeah.
And
it's not that. I don't want to sound like we're ragging on people, but like people are imperfect, and it's like, it's not that you need to conceal stuff from people. It's just like, it doesn't benefit you or them for everybody to know that what's going on. Sometimes it's like, all right, 2 or 3, 3 or 4, whatever it is, those people that you have, as long as you got people praying for you, that's what matters. You got good people that are going to walk with you and be present with you. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what life is about.
Yeah,
you need to find those people. So I hear always people talk about Paul and Timothy. Maybe, Timothy. This is kind of more leadership, but it's the same type principles. Timothy went to Paul for that stuff, but Paul wanted Timothy to find other people too, right? So you got to have those people you can go to, but you got to be that for other people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I don't think it's easy necessarily because these things are uncomfortable. That's why we have the mask.
Nobody likes talking about where they don't get it right.
No.
And it's tough. And so, like, even for me in that moment, I was telling you about, like, it was harder to get out than but now that it's out, it's like, man, why am I like, I'm not ashamed of it. That's not what it is. I'm not ashamed of like feeling insecure in certain areas or feeling like maybe I'm not being the best I can in this area of life. I'm not ashamed of it, but really what it is like I don't want to, the lie from the enemy is that you're a burden to somebody else. And that's not it. That's not true.
No.
And really what the true thing is like, you're not the only one dealing with stuff. You're not the only one that has insecurities. You're not the only one that isn't, feeling the best all the time. You're not the only one like that. And usually when you say, hey, man, like, I'm having an off day, can you pray for me? The other people are like, yeah, I have off days too. Like, we're all that bucket. And it's freeing to know that it's freeing to be in community with people where they're like, hey, we're not perfect, but we're doing it together.
Yeah, absolutely. So
sorry, I was a lot of talking there.
No. I think that's a big one. The mask, I think part of this Johari window, it might be, I don't know about the most important one, but I think it's the one we can all relate to sometimes the most.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because it's uncomfortable. But that first area, again, it's that just a quick reminder. It's that public you, and sometimes we put on a kind of a front, which is exhausting, right? So we want to kind of have people we can go to and be ourselves in front of. That's the public you again. The second place is what we had the blind spots. Again, it's like the something in the teeth. Yep. But you need the friend. Goes back to the community. You need that friend, right? That tells you, hey, you got it in your teeth.
Yep.
Or, hey, you have that hanger that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so we just got done with that third one. And, you want friends that you can take your mask off for. And they can be with you. They can pray with you. They can walk through it with you. And I think after you do all that, we enter in this fourth area of the Johari window. And a lot of people call it the unknown area, but I've heard people call it the potential. It's our potential.
Yeah.
And I think we find this potential that this is talking about. It's what I don't know about myself, but it's what you don't know either.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. It's what could be. It's the potential. And I think the way we can find that potential is through this community that we're talking about. I'll go back to the verse that we talked about at the beginning. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Right? That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And the result is we get better.
Yeah.
Through that. And so the potential is a little broad. It's a little vague. Because, I don't know what can be in that area. You don't know what can be in that area. But I think we find it together.
Yeah. If we want to talk about potential, and some people are like, potential is just a theory, potential is just this, but what would your potential be if you really went and actually went after community, like, and made it as important as it actually is? What if you really found 2 or 3 friends where you could take your mask off and be like, hey, this is the real me?
Yeah.
What if you really went to some people like, hey, man, like, I want to grow. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better leader. I want to be better this, whatever it is. What if you really went to people that you knew, loved, and cared about? You say, hey, where are my blind spots at? Because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to abuse people. I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I don't want to be this. What would your potential really be if you really gave it your all to really be in community where you're building each other up and trying to be all you can be, all God's created you to be?
Yeah.
Like, what would your potential be? And where would you be as a leader? Where would you be as a husband, father, all that, co-worker? Where would you be if you really had community like that? And that's our potential, and it's challenging and exciting at the same time.
Very. Yeah, very, very challenging. Because, again, I think this is sometimes uncomfortable. I mean, seriously, it's sometimes uncomfortable to be real or to be vulnerable with people. But, again, to discover this potential, just like you're talking about the mask and the blind spots, good community will reveal that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And then when it's revealed, you can meet your potential. But until that's revealed, you're not going to, we can't meet that full potential.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's things kind of holding you back. But a good community, a good friend, or some good small group members, they'll reveal that to you.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is just having community like that, because I don't know, everybody wants to reach their God-given potential. None of us are perfect, and I'm going to get to heaven. I want to know all the places I messed up and all the places I, should have been a better listener, should have been more humble, should have been a better leader. All that's going to happen. But like, while I'm here on earth, while I have breath in my lungs, like, I want to give it all I got.
Yeah.
I want to make the biggest difference possible. I want to love people well. I want to be someone who is a noticer that just notices people. I want to be in community where people can point out my blind spots, and that we can help each other grow. Why? So we can make the biggest difference possible. And I think it's, I don't know, the potential is exciting. It's like, hey, because if you, I don't know, just if you're listening to it, if you can take a moment, just pause and imagine, like, what would your life be like if you went all in with community? If you gave it a full, church is an easy way for us to talk about this, and it's small group semesters, but like, what if you gave community like a full year of full effort? Like if you gave it all you could, how much would you grow? What kind of potential would you reach?
Because here's, we say this quote a lot, but this is true. And I think we know this to be true. And it's this, talking about the small groups, talking about the community, the relationships. Well, real life change happens in relationships. Okay. It happens in relationships. And
bless him, Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Howard. And that's not to discount, the role that God plays in this. Okay, we're not discounting that role because he plays a major role in all this, of course.
Absolutely.
Right? But he places people in our lives, okay, to pour into our lives, all right? And to say, hey, you got this blind spot that you're not seeing, okay? Because God speaks through people too.
Yeah.
And so we got to surround ourselves with those type of people. Search them. And, I think, we talk about it in the context of small groups a lot because that's, I think of church. But small group can just be a small friend group. You can have a small group with a small group of friends you see every day. Right?
All small groups at church what is that? Is just a designed way to design community for people who don't, to have constructive community that you wouldn't have otherwise. And fortunately, I am very blessed with friends and community and things like that. But a lot of people don't have people. And that's why we do that. And that's why we create community so people can have people to spur them on, to encourage them, to help them reach their potential. And when you think about people, we're talking about people and relationships. I think one of the greatest tangible gifts God gives us, like, of course, his word, but the greatest tangible things he gives us is the people around us.
Yeah.
Amen. I mean, when I think about all my favorite moments in life, you know what I think about? The people that were with me doing it, man. I don't think about like that solo moment. If I go play golf and I don't think about that time I played by myself, that's not fun. It's when I'm with people. If I'm thinking about like I've had solo spiritual experiences, sure, like at my house or whatever when I'm by myself. But
those are important.
And those are important. And I remember those too. But like when I think about like, man, I remember us and so experiencing God in a way that one day or that one time when we went there or something that happened. And when I think about even trips and things, I don't think about like necessarily the activities, but the people. And I think God places people for you to experience life with and grow and reach your full potential. And you think of each person, if they're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, it's like he's crafted these people for us to walk alongside in life. And when God sees you doing life alone, he's like, hey, like, no, like, you weren't made to live that way. And so he designs us to be in community, and we reach our full potential living that way.
Yeah, and, you can use this Johari Window tool, all right, and you can use it yourself, and you can probably find some of your blind spots, and you can probably think of some of your masks, okay? But I think the reason that we talk about it with community is because you can really find it in community. You can probably find an area or two yourself if you sit and draw it out and go with it, and you think hard about areas in your life. But you can really tap into this, and we can really get better, I think, if we learn it through community. And I just challenge, maybe if you're listening, and I challenge myself, and even you too, Gunnar, is never discredit the importance of who we're with and the community we're around and the relationships we build, because again, it's about getting better, and we can do that through the relationships with each other.
Yeah, man, and that's I feel like you grow most when you're doing it with others, and it's an exciting thing to experience, and that's what we want for, of course, each other, but we want that for you. And this tool is challenging and helpful, Gage. So thanks for sharing it. Thanks for
absolutely.
I think when you were talking about church, I was really like, man, that's just such good stuff, and what a good thing to chew on, think about, and encourage people that, hey, this is why community's so good.
Yeah. And again, I think it, I think try to seek that out. Try to seek those friends that, those wounds from a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And you won't regret having good people in your life.
Right.
You won't. But thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Gage, thank you again, man. It's awesome hanging out with you. But we will, we're going to keep going, keep recording. Thank you for everyone who's listening, because you're choosing to get better. You're choosing to grow. So we want to say thank you. So share, like, do all that stuff. But until next time, keep on getting better.